not your ass. You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you. Now get up.
Good evening, friends. It's Friday, which means it's time once again for another enlightening episode of Hobbservations on Roads to Liberty, part of the Think Liberty Network. That's think-liberty.com.
Is he going to show?
That's think-liberty.com for all of your Liberty podcasting needs, or wherever you listen to podcasts at. We're on pretty much all of them. Joining us tonight is Daddy himself. Come on up, Justin. Justin from TBL. How you doing, sir?
Yep.
Hey,
y'all didn't think I was going to be here, did you?
Oh, it was looking really, really dicey there. How are you doing today,
I'm doing
friend?
pretty fucking good, man. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Just another Friday night shit stream, as the title says. So we got quite a bevy of things to discuss tonight. Roads to Liberty, TBL, Patriot Wave. Our buddy Rick, big F in the chat for Rick from North Carolina. All of us got quite the zuckening. We didn't, but we're kind of boog adjacent there, I guess. But we did get mentioned in a Guardian article that has worldwide circulation, which to me is pretty cool, because they say that there's no such thing as bad publicity, right?
No. Did they call you by name in it?
And in it, yes. Well, no, they did, but they put air quotes around.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because it's it's like a guy who podcasts under the name Hobbs. It's like, just goes to prove that you guys didn't do a lick of research, because it's not hidden. It's my name. I'm not very coy or very shy about it. It's out there. Anybody that takes 10 seconds to figure it out would figure out that that's my real name. I'm not podcasting under a pseudonym or an alias or anything. That's my last name.
Oh.
Yeah. So we got that, and we also managed to get our own very own COINTELPRO asset, who has some unpronounceable Irish shit.
I'm going to call it my rap battle
as a name.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But hopefully in the end, I turn out to be Suge Knight.
Isn't he the one that held fucking somebody over a railing or something?
But
something like.
Yeah.
So, anyways, So you got some things to say about our own Glowfed, who gets very, very defensive when you call him out.
Yeah, and I called him out once, and I tried to be real polite about it, and it got to the point that I made my point, and he kept on at it and everything, and I've tried to be polite all along, and then he put out a video last night or yesterday or whenever it was, and straight called me out, called me a pussy, and dropped my real name, Jim Sterling, which he assumes that I am. So that's cool. But yeah, he really called me out, and he showed his proof last night. He admitted that he didn't create the flag, and that's not even what the argument was about. The argument wasn't about who created the damn flag. It was that somebody was claiming it and trying to put their face to it. So that's beating a dead horse even talking about that anymore, because that's not what we're trying to accomplish with this. But one thing he did do last night to prove that he was Daddy Boog was he showed his tattoo that he got back in 2016. It was a Hawaiian shirt that he has tattooed on his thigh. He said in his video, "I'm going to get my shaver out and I'm going to shave the hair off of this to prove that this is not a new tattoo, and that anybody that was there in the beginning would have that tattoo." So tonight, guys, I'm going to have to do the same thing, and you're gonna have to bear with me for a second because I'm gonna have to move the camera to get it to where we can see this. But tell me when you can see it. Can you see it? All right. Well,
Yeah,
I brought my
yeah,
shaver
that's
too, and
right.
there it is, boys.
That
There's
that
hair.
that's hair.
You see it? So,
Wow.
you know, just because you have a tattoo on your thigh that you can shave the hair off of doesn't necessarily mean you were there in the beginning. But for some of us, it does.
Yeah, yeah. It's this guy. I had never heard anything about this guy. Never heard anything from this guy, and then suddenly, about a week before the big purge, he is every fucking where. He's broadcasting on YouTube under what is it, like Truth Action Network or
ActionTruth.net.
something
Yeah.
like that. ActionTruth.net, and then suddenly, right before the purge, he's in all of the big book groups and posting all sorts of borderline racist bullshit and just running his mouth about being the real OG, and then suddenly
Yeah.
everybody gets purged. And now he's out there spewing even more inflammatory crap, calling everybody out, making active threats. I will beat your ass. I will find you. All of this other stuff, doing his 1352 and FBI table 43 and all the other, racist shit that people do. And he's still up. His page is still up. His Truth Action Network or ActionTruth.net or whatever the fuck it is still up. And he's not getting purged for making active threats, for saying racist shit. And all of us are, or all of you guys are. My, Road to Liberty's thankfully missed the banhammer so far. So that led me to the conclusion that this guy is, if he's not an actual member of a federal law enforcement agency, he's at least being used without his knowledge to rile everybody up. So he might be a COINTELPRO asset, or he might be an unwitting pawn in some bigger scheme. But there's definitely somebody in the hierarchy of things looking out for him.
Touching on that subject, this brings up something that I was talking about today, and it goes to the Zuck, and whether that was politically motivated or if that was a request from the government for Facebook to get rid of us because we were becoming a danger to them, because we caught some notice out there. I was talking today, that's got to be the dumbest move ever made, because what they did by canceling us is they no longer have contact. They no longer have to see what our plans are or who's talking about what. And what they did is they took the seed pod off of the tree and they scattered the seeds everywhere. And this has become noticed by the media, so people that would have never known about it know about it now. And the seeds are being spread, and it's going to sprout everywhere now, and they're not going to know where it's sprouting because they canceled our voice. So they kind of fuck themselves in the long run.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing about these the censorship things that they're always doing is the more they squeeze, the more runs out of their fingers, the more decentralized it gets. And I don't want to make it sound like it's dangerous or anything, but the more extreme and radical some people are going to get. Because when you have these groups where we can talk freely and outsiders can come in and voice their dissent, and everybody can have a as reasonable a conversation as you're going to get in a Facebook comment thread, but as long as people can say their piece, point, counterpoint, have a conversation about it, then all of these things kind of get diffused. But when you start censoring people and forcing them to go to Discord and then censoring that, the group that goes over to Discord is going to be kind of the more hardcore guys, and then you censor that, and then the people that migrate to some other platform is going to be even smaller. The more of these esoteric alternate social media, the more they have to bounce around, the smaller and smaller the group is going to get, until eventually you're going to come to the point where you got a very dedicated, very hardcore group of people in an echo chamber, and any radicalism that's not allowed to see the light of day and get any kind of dissenting argument to kind of defuse the situation is going to end up getting amplified. And then you got something like that Stephen Carrillo dipshit out west in Oakland or whatever, killing security guards and those 3 chuckleheads in Las Vegas that were planning to Molotov cocktail a BLM march.
I don't think they realize the amount of accelerationists that posted before they were going to do something that the groups talked down from doing anything. People had ideas and they put them out there, and by having groups, we were able to talk them through it and say, hey, look, that's not what we're looking for. That's not what this is about. And now we can't even do that. So everybody's just out there to do what they want to do now. And they keep shutting everything down. We'll get past it. We'll figure it out. I can promise you that.
Yeah. There's going to be a regroup in hopefully hopefully in a platform that is open and large enough to where the cooler heads will be able to voice the dissenting opinion, and you're not just going to have a group of accelerationist shitheads out there looking to firebomb a federal building or something.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, we got some pretty good stuff over here in the chat. Once again, we are live and we are taking comments here. So let's see. So Cullen Stipe says, "Did you see the Wayfarer Cabinet thing that's going around?" Yeah, I saw Nico Escht post something about that today, and I looked through the pictures, but that's as far as I got. Have you heard anything more than what was recently out there?
No, Jimmy sent something to me earlier. It had about 30 photos with it where you go through, and it would show some names of some missing people, and then there was cabinets labeled with their names and stuff like that. But obviously we got shut down, so everything that's on Facebook is true. That's why they shut us down. So I don't see why we wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's a really, really weird set of coincidences. For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, there's a series of pictures floating around where some company, Wayfarer, is selling cabinets, and they're just wall locker sized cabinets, but they're selling for outrageous prices, like $10,000-$15,000. And they're just like 6 foot tall by 2.5 foot wide by 2.5 foot deep, just regular wall locker size things for $15,000.
Most of
but
them
all
are
of them
female
have names, like like Amaya and stuff like that. And it's like the Amaya cabinet gives the dimension, it gives the outrageous price, and then the next picture down will be like a missing person.
And they're not normal names either.
So yeah, they're all kind of different, It's because most of these girls, So Ben just pulled it up right there. If you want to make it full screen, Ben, because you can't really read it, but so he just pulled it up right there. It's the Samaya 5-shelf storage cabinet by WFX Utility, and it's just it's a 5-shelf wall locker for $12,899. That's insane. And then the next picture down is going to be like a missing persons report with a girl named Samaya. Yep. There she is.
And right Mama Boog just said they've got pillows for sale too, which they do.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a weird thing going on with Wayfarer. So so somebody said, did anyone have source images? There they were. Also need to take some responsibility for things being spewed in comments, like calls to violence. It gives the Zuck some ammo. Yeah. So yeah, there, right there, the picture of a Samaya Mumin or Mummin or whatever, however you pronounce her last name. Yeah. So yeah, there's something weird going on there. Aside from these pictures of the cabinets and the missing person reports, I have no idea what's going on. Like I said, something that I just saw in passing at work today. Ben pulled those pictures up, and that's all I know. That will hopefully the autists on the internet boards will go out and figure that thing out there. So here, Luke White says on the accelerationist things, he's not lying. We had to talk more than one person down just in my small circle. And yeah, that is one of the responsibilities of guys like us who are starting to take this out of the world of a funny meme and into real world activism. And we can talk on that a little
Yeah, I
bit.
did. I want to talk
wanted
about that, and I was
how
going to say,
the
Kanui
meme.
kind of asked the same question there too. He's one of the originators of the CNN boys. They're streaming us live tonight too,
Okay.
so shout out to them. Yeah, I want to talk about that, and I don't mean for it to be taken the wrong way, but the Boogaloo is dead. And when I say that, the meme is dead. The Boogaloo was a meme, and I know we call ourselves by that, but what we are is we're looking for liberty. And in the past, I'm going to say 4 months, it's been on a down spiral, and more people are seeing that this is a serious thing with all the rallies and the protests and stuff like that. And it's time that we quit stressing about the memes so much and start worrying about the real life situations. It's like we talked about a couple weeks ago. Me and Mark are working on starting up a political action committee here locally, and gonna really try to make some changes locally. And if it goes good locally, we'll go on a national level. And one of our close friends, Taylor Rhodes, he just got a really nice appointment. Do you remember what it was there, Dustin?
It's
Rocky
like the
Mountain Gun Owners. He got
like the Rocky
appointed as
Mountain
executive
Gun.
director of the Rocky Mountain Gun Owners. So I wanted to shout him out. That's huge. So if you guys get a chance, go check that article out and give Taylor a shout out, because he's a real good dude. He helped us a lot here in Tennessee. So, but yeah, we've got to start taking this more seriously, because yeah, the meme's dead, obviously, unless we find somewhere else to put it out. But yeah, it's turned into a real situation, and it's not a joke anymore, guys. It's never been a joke, but yeah, it's definitely serious now, because they are controlling the shit out of us.
Yeah, that's the. Hey, could you turn your speaker down or something? I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so you're right. You're right. There's that old meme that I saw that said that they wouldn't have to censor us if we were lying. And it's like I said, the first time I had that 4-minute rant that you and Rick loved, and I've said it on Token and Hobbs show, and I've said it a couple of other places, that they wouldn't be taking the steps that they are against. They're not afraid of us getting violent. And in fact, that's the exact opposite. I think that they want us to get violent, which is why they're clamping down so hard. They're wanting people like you and me to think that we are alone, that we've been isolated, and our only recourse is to turn to violence. And they're seeing all of the protests, all of the activism that's going on, where you've got guys out there dressed up like they're about to halo jump into Fallujah, wearing their Hawaiian shirts, putting their bodies between overzealous cops and protesters, and between rioters and local businesses. And they're telling all of the people that they're helping out that you too can take responsibility for your own life, your own safety. You are a human being with your own agency. You are not dependent on the government. And that scares them to death, because government is their religion.
My boner just ran out of skin every time you say that.
But that's exactly what I'm seeing. I'm seeing these these big government statists, capital S statists. I'm seeing groups of Marxists that want nothing more than to have a centralized authority, central planners, and they're under the impression that once this Marxist utopia gets built, that they are going to be the central planners. They don't seem to learn from history that the squeaky wheels in any type of a communist revolution are always the ones that once the old system is torn down and the new centrally planned system is put into place, all of those useful idiots are the first ones taken out in front of a ditch and shot in the
There's
back of the head.
Catherine in there talking about compliance, and it was funny because we had an article come up in our local paper, and dude, if I can pull this up, it's ridiculous. Some of the shit that they say. It was about the COVID-19 and wearing mask. I've got it right here. Let's see where I texted this guy. Yeah. Okay. So on our 10 News, it says, "We do not wish to charge anybody with anything," he said. This is talking about not wearing a mask. "We want to get people to wear a mask. The board said that the main goal of the policy is to educate people into compliance."
That to me, that's some really weird like 1984 type stuff, where or like the Gulag type re-education camp stuff. It's the verbiage being thrown around here is I don't know if they're meaning to sound this dystopian or what the deal is, but it's like you're guilty of wrongthink, and you must be re-educated into compliance, or something like.
It's crazy. It really is.
Yeah, I don't think
so
George
either.
is going to be making it. I haven't heard anything from him, unfortunately. But we were going to have another guy pop in here tonight, but there's something wrong with his system or whatever. So yeah, as Rob Adkins says, it sounds like indoctrination with extra steps. That's exactly right, and no matter how much, there's all of this information and counter information about how the masks work. Oh no, they don't work. Oh, they're good for you. Oh, they're bad for you. It's let people be adults. If I'm going into a nursing home, I'll wear a mask. If I'm going into a place where there's a lot of immunocompromised people, or I'm going into a hospital, I'll wear a mask. If I'm going into a private business that it's their private property and they want me to wear a mask, I'm not going to be happy about it, but if I need to go in there, I'll wear the stupid little mask, But to have the government come out here and say that, oh, you got to do it no matter what, that's like, I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions.
I did see where Richard said, since all the small groups got banned, what other ways are there for us to stay informed and communicate? Ben, can you type something up on the screen for me? Can we put the www.thickboogline.com address up there and the libertyactualshop.com up there? If y'all will subscribe to our email list, we now have an unlimited email campaign that we can use, and we are putting out information regularly now on different platforms and different groups and stuff you can get in with, and that keeps you off Facebook, and that keeps you informed with where you can get that information at. So if you'll sign up for the email list, and there's also a blog on there, and I can't promise that we'll answer your emails back very quickly or type in the blog because we're busy as shit. But if you will go to those two sites, Liberty Actual Shop will just redirect you to thickboogline.com. But if you'll go on there and sign up for the email list, that's one source you have to use that we'll be sending out emails to for different groups on Mayway and Signal and stuff like that. So feel free to sign up for that and pass that along to people too. And that's enough on that.
Yeah. So another guy asked, how are we going to overcome the bullshit white supremacy pro-Trump narrative? Sunlight is the best disinfectant. which is why they're banning groups and shadow banning content and perma-deleting people's profiles and things like that, is when we have these groups that are focused on individual liberty, and then we have some dipshit come in with a white supremacist saying or whatever, that triggers the algorithm, and then the whole group gets deleted. So unfortunately, you can't control anybody else's, what they post up. Oh, there we
What's up
go.
there,
Sorry about
Georgie
that,
boy?
Jen. So,
We got him.
little technical difficulties, and I'm kind of
George?
retarded. So,
Hey, Georgie.
Oh, yeah, that's all right, man. So welcome to the chat. I don't know how much you've
no,
been
I've been
listening
trying
or
to
not,
figure out
but
this
yeah,
computer, so I missed
we've been
a lot.
Okay, so anyways, yeah, we're answering some questions and talking about taking the movement or the sentiment or whatever you want to call it from internet memes to real life activism. And right now we had somebody ask how we'll overcome the bullshit white supremacy pro-Trump narrative. And Ben Coles, I don't know if you're talking about, I started saying that the best thing you can do is just talk to people and call them out for their bullshit and offer good solid counter arguments. Because I'm assuming that you were talking about when you get somebody who's got the white supremacy pro-Trump nonsense come into your group. However, now that I think about it a little bit, you can go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm also thinking you're also talking about how we are being portrayed in the media, where they say that we're white supremacists and Trump humpers and all the other nonsense. And to that, media is going to media. They've got their narrative. They're going to run with it. And no matter how much truth you shove down their throat, they're going to la 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 la. I can't hear you. No no no. And they're just going to say whatever they want to say. So the best thing you can do is just point out the absurdities and share their articles.
Yeah, and we'll see how this goes.
Is not true.
Monday at 12, I've got an interview with the Guardian again. I told the reporter that did the Joe Joergens smear article. I contacted him, and he got back with me today, and he's going to interview me Monday at noon. And he asked what we would speak on for a topic, and I said, well, we'll talk at noon. We'll kind of get a question and answer going, and then I want you to get your questions and email them to me, and I'll answer those. I said, but if I agree to do this, I want the questions you ask and the answers I give given in full context. I said, I want it as a question and answer section in the Guardian. And so that's how I'm trying to work on that narrative at this point personally. And I hope that's for you guys that are on the podcast with me, because y'all be involved in the answers. And anybody that's in the comments that has anything they want asked, feel free to personal message me, and I will get your voice out there.
If I can chime in on that, I'm a private contractor, so I deal with people every single day, and I wear this hat or another hat with this patch on it every single day. And I work all over, from freaking Detroit, Lansing, the suburbs. And I talk to people, I interact with people from all walks of life, and hopefully when they see that patch and they deal with me and realize that, hey, these guys aren't racist. Sometimes I bring it up, and I go to a lot of gun shops on my spare time. So, and I talk to people, I engage with people, and try to destroy that narrative. We've been to a couple protests, me and my guys here in Michigan, and we've been to Detroit for police brutality, stood with BLM and all that stuff. And when I say BLM, I mean the sentiment, not the organization. I don't want people getting that confused.
Yeah, and everybody's been getting crazy about that here lately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of, now that you said, you know, like engaging with people, wearing the flag patch and bringing it up when appropriate and talking to people, it kind of reminds me of something that I used to do back when I would open carry during the summer months when everybody could see that I got my big 45 on my hip, is that I am an ambassador for gun rights when I open carry. So I stand up straight, make eye contact, smile, please and thank you, be as good a person as you can, because I'm not, you know, if you're walking around shady giving everybody the stink eye, that gives everybody a bad impression that they
Right.
might already have about gun rights, is that, oh, this guy's just looking for a fight or whatever. But you stand up straight, smile, make eye contact, be a peaceful and friendly person. They're going to be like, oh, you know, maybe this guy isn't just a vigilante looking for a reason or whatever. He's a fine, upstanding member of society. And the same thing can be said about, you know, the Hawaiian shirts and the TBL flag patch and all of the other sort of symbology of what we're representing. You know, whether it's that one or like the Gadsden flag or any of the other stuff. Just, you know, try to be as nice and courteous as possible and defuse anybody's
because they look at gun owners
preconceptions.
as people that are just waiting for something to happen so they can use it. And I have a perfect example. I've got another piece of property that I own that nobody lives in, and there's been people squatting there. And I called them one day, had a gun on me. You know, I ended up calling the cops, having the cops come. They've come back since then, and I've gotten to the point to where, you know, I can throw my plate carrier on and grab my rifle and strap my gun belt on, and I can go in there and get them in check. But I've just called the cops, and I told the cops, you know, I don't. They's like, well, you look like you're prepared enough to go in there and see if anybody's in there. And I'm like, guys, I called y'all because I don't want confrontation. I do not want to have to use my pistol or my rifle. You know, one guy going in there and there's 4 people in there, they might think, oh, we got one up on this dude, and I may have to use it. 6 cops go in there, they're more than likely going to listen. So, you know, I don't want to use mine. As much as the memes say we want to use our weapons, we don't.
Yeah, that's
George,
definitely.
your volume's probably a little too high, I think.
I was trying to share it on my phone and it started playing. So
I finally figured that out about
loud
Yeah,
on
that
my
happens.
in how to fix that.
Yeah, I always have to turn my media volume down on my phone before we get these things started. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, there's this sentiment going around in the normies outside of the gun culture in general and the boog culture in particular, that people who carry a gun are crazy assholes who are just looking for any reason to draw down on somebody and go okay corral. And the exact opposite is true. I think probably the best analogy that I've ever heard is I carry a gun not as a weapon, but as a shield.
Exactly.
It's a defensive item. It's not something that I'm going out to
and training comes into play with that. If you train with your weapon, then you realize how deadly it is and what you can do with it. And there is times that you don't have to use it to diffuse a situation.
Right. And I think it was even the CDC that put out, you know, they're not a bastion of gun rights viewpoints at all, but the CDC, I think, did a study where they estimated that the number of defensive gun uses per year is anywhere between 375,000 to 2.5 million. And the reason that you've got such a broad margin in the number of cases is that a defensive gun use is not somebody gets shot in defense. A defensive gun use is you reach for your hip if somebody pulls a knife on you and they run away. That's a defensive gun use. Your window breaks in the middle of the night and you do the stereotypical thud, rack a pump action shotgun and they run away. That's a defensive gun use. You know, it's not just somebody has to get shot to be counted as a defensive gun use. And the thing about most of that is that anytime you've got one of those types of defensive gun use, you don't file a police report because there's nothing to file. You don't have You don't have a body. You don't have a guy held at gunpoint or anything like that. You have an incident and no evidence. So you don't even bother calling the cops.
So
Yeah.
we in Michigan we have pretty expensive CPL. I carry a Taurus G2C because it's cheap and reliable. And if I'm ever gonna use it, I'm gonna lose it. So rather lose out on a $260 gun than an $800 gun. I'm a working man with a family, so $800
Yeah.
guns not in my price range. So I open carry, and I get people all the time. They're like, "Oh, are you a cop? Are you security?" I had one lady, "Oh, why are you carrying?" I'm like, "I do it, for defensive purposes. And if anything ever was to happen when I'm out and about, there's a gun on the scene that's going to be used for defensive purposes if there's some crazy person out there." And then this one lady, she's like, well, I'm a Christian and I just don't know how I feel about it. It's like, I'm a Christian too. I'm a deacon at my church, So, that's why I like open carry, because it brings that conversation. And, sometimes I haven't really got any of the idiotic, why are you carrying a gun? It's mostly just curiosity. They'll be like, wow, you can carry that? Do you have a license? In Michigan, we're an open carry state, so you don't need a license to carry it open. Now, concealed, obviously, that's a whole nother ball game. But
yeah, and I try not to do that. I better not say that for legal purposes, but I try not to. I don't open carry in Walmart and Kroger and stuff like that. There's no point in it other than I feel like it gets people nervous. But if I'm going to the gas station at midnight, I will open carry. There's not a lot of people around, and the only person that it is going to scare off is going to be the person that would want to do something anyways. So, I keep it on me. I don't flaunt it. I'll throw my shirt over it, but if there's something that seems sketch to me, I'll pick my shirt up and just let it be visible. But and that's where I think open carry comes in on a defensive purpose for me.
Yeah, like I said before, the reason that I used to open carry was not so much, you got all these people are like, oh, it's quicker to access, or oh, it's it's a deterrent or whatever. But it's like I said, to me it was more of a visual thing, trying to normalize guns in public and to be an ambassador for gun culture. And this is something that I haven't done for quite a while, because the only places I ever go are work anymore. So yeah. But there was some thought that I had in my head. Oh yeah, the thing you said about the lady with the Christian aversion to having a gun. I mean, there's plenty of Bible references that say that killing someone in self-defense or defense of others is not a sin, and Jesus said, if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one, and other things like that. But I think that the majority of that comes from the part where people who hold these deep-seated Christian beliefs think that peace is the ultimate virtue. And I'd like to quote Jordan Peterson, who said that a harmless man is not a peaceful man. A peaceful man is someone who is capable of extreme violence, but has that under voluntary control. Because
Ben put it up there: when a strong man, fully armed, guards his own palace, his goods are safe.
Yep, that's another biblical reference, I think. Yeah. So yeah, there's you can bring that stuff up. A pacifist is not a peaceful man. He's a harmless man. A peaceful man is someone who's capable of great violence and has it under control.
One of the things I always
best,
bring up is, when Adam and Eve got kicked out of the garden, the angel that was put in place to keep them out of the garden had a flaming sword. A lot of nowadays Christians, they think the flaming sword is the word of God. you know, and that is true in some aspects, but in other aspects of the Bible, he's literally referencing a sword.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of New Testament
Yep, that
where,
is
you know,
very
the Jewish people had to use their weapons in defense.
yep.
And the Jewish people
Very
didn't
true.
get
Big
their
facts.
weapons to use in defense in the 40s, and that's
Right.
what they're trying to do to us.
Yep, exactly. Is there anything else that you boys want to discuss? We're coming up on an hour right now, and I'm kind of drawing
I'm
a
good.
blank.
I think we hit some good subjects. I think for some of the audience we had going tonight that I reached out to, I think we hit the subjects they wanted to hit.
Okay. If we got any questions over in the comment section, go ahead and drop them now. One person said he doesn't like open
Did you
carrying
guys
himself because he
get
doesn't
on
want to be a
Huey?
target. I think it should
Oh yeah, Mayway.
on what?
MEWE.
Did you guys get on
That's another
Huey?
platform we're using.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm on there.
I don't know anything about it. I don't have an account. So yeah, if you guys want to get over on MeWe or Mayway or Mewy or whatever you want to call it, go ahead and
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Patriot Waves over there,
Go
Big
ahead and-
Igloo Boys are over there, Liberty Actuals over there. So all the pages that are gone from Facebook you
He's
can find over
asking
there.
what all was discussed tonight, and I'm kind of curious since I joined in late.
Yeah, so we talked about Paul Strickland, our recently acquired Fed, and we talked about open carry, and we talked about how the Boogaloo meme as a meme is dead, and how it's becoming actual real world activism. You know, kind of a peace through strength type thing. Livy Swafford wants to know the website again. That would be thickboogline.com
Shop.
and libertyactualstore.com, libertyactualshop.com to sign up for all of the newsletters. Josh Steely or Shelley, real quick. Anybody heard about Ledbetter? All I know is that he was arrested. Have you guys heard anything else?
No.
I already accepted the charges on the machine gun, or however the legal
Yeah,
definition
accepted
they
the
want to
charges.
use.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what Mark said in that podcast is we try our best not to speak on those topics until we have all the information, and we still have no information, so we'll just leave it at that pretty much.
And you know, another thing
Yeah,
to
I
hit
haven't
on
heard anything
is
about it.
I know you
You know,
guys were around. I was in the movement when it happened. The whole whiskey warrior thing. Nobody that I know has ever heard from the guy since Alex Booth.
Oh yeah, we've hit on that like 4 times in these podcasts, and we have that same view on that. Is we never got the information on that, so we don't really speak on it anymore because it's just we don't want to say the wrong thing. This goes back to we can't be the voice for everyone, but we want to try
Right.
to talk to as many people as we can to get their voice out there. But until we know facts, we can't speak on any one subject and expect people to listen to what we say, because then something else turns out from it, and then it looks like we were just putting bullshit out there. So we try our best to give good corroborated information, and I think Dustin's on the same page with that, and George, I think you're on the same page with that too.
Yes, sir.
right. That's also why I like doing these things live, is because I don't want to presume to speak for anybody. I don't want to try to be somebody else's voice. I want everybody to get their voice out there at any time they can, which is why I like doing these live, because we have our audience engagement over here. They ask their questions and we put them out there, and if anybody has an answer, or if we have an answer, we'll answer, and if we don't have an answer, I'm not going to bullshit you and make something up. I'll flat out tell you that I have no idea anything past what we knew. Like Ledbetter, I have no clue.
Yep.
Now,
Right now.
my personal thing on the whole whiskey warrior thing, and since that happened when this movement really started to take off, it almost felt like it was a psyop to make us, not react when those kind of calls come out. But one of the things I always tell people, especially on like Rhodesia Rebels, is if you're not networking locally and meeting up with people, you can't rely on Facebook, because somebody's like, well, I got raided and nobody was there for me. Nobody was there for Ledbetter, and nobody was there for Duncan. It's like, well, for one, Duncan was sleeping when he was killed, so nobody could be there for him. But you can't rely on Facebook. I got a QRF where I'm at, and I see some of the boys in the chat. I see you, B Puff. So, if you don't have a QRF set up of guys who are willing to come, if something were to happen, that's what I advocate for. Break bread with people, train with them, introduce them to your families, get people in your circle that you can trust. Because that's what I have. The guys I have are like family. They're around my kids, they're around my wife, they come to my house. So you can't rely on Facebook.
Yeah, I am
That's
definitely.
true story. And Josh wanted to know if this will be available to watch later. Yeah, it'll be on Roads to Liberty on Facebook, and then it'll be on my personal page under Jim Henry also.
Yep, and we'll be posting it up to our YouTube channel probably within the next couple of days too. And Len, what George was saying there about the QRF and get with your local boys, that's something that I am very, very, very slacking on. I got my brother who lives about 10 miles away from me. I got a couple of buddies who live about 10, 15 miles away from me.
You've got me, but I'm a good ways away.
I don't have anybody that I. Yeah, you're a little far, I'm afraid. I don't think you'll be here by the time that the UN paratroopers hit the ground.
Well, guys, I had fun.
And that's the thing. Everybody's,
Go ahead, George.
Definitely. Wish I could have got on sooner. Had some technical difficulties. Wife got a new computer, so I didn't know she didn't have Chrome, so I had to wait for that to download. I thought I could do it on my phone. Didn't want to work on my phone, so fun times.
Hey, honey.
Yeah, it's okay. It's live and learn. We just kind of fly by the seat of our pants here. The fact that the Joe Joergens interview went as smoothly and as good as it did blows my mind, because sometimes this app can be a real clusterfuck. But so I see some people out there they're networking using our platform to network right now. So good. Please, if we can act as a conduit for that, please go ahead, find people in your local area. We got listeners all over the United States and all over the world. We got some people in Australia, the UK, whatnot. This doesn't just apply to Americans. The desire for freedom
Everywhere.
is a human thing, not just an American.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Brian Puffenberger wants to know. Yeah, Brian Puffenberger wants to know what the schedule for these streams are, or are they random? Okay, so on the Roads to Liberty, this one that you're watching right now, he hasn't done one for a while, but the other guy that streams with me, Token, he sometimes does a Monday interview show where it's not always politics or anything. Sometimes it's history and whatever. That's usually on Mondays at 9 p.m. Central, unless it's somebody in another country and time zone or whatever. We do the Token and Hobbs show on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central. Ben hasn't done an Alleyways podcast in a while, but when he does those are Thursday at 9 p.m. Central. And the one you're watching right now, Hobbservations, is Fridays at 9 p.m. Central.
Sure.
Hey, Hobbs, can I get a Chaz for the viewers?
Yes, you can. R.I.P. the Chaz.
And a funny thing about that is somebody's. I saw it in one of the groups. I forgot what damn group it was, but they're like, "Oh, everybody's a bunch of talk. At least the Chaz did something." It's like, what exactly did they do? They took over a couple blocks for a couple weeks, and that was about it.
Because they were
You know,
allowed to.
everybody needs to
Yeah,
realize this is a long
yeah.
game.
Yeah, Justin got a kid screaming back there.
Yeah, my daughter.
But yeah, Justin is absolutely right. The guys in the chat, anybody who's in our circle of influence or in our movement or whatever that looks to the Chaz or the Chop as some type of beacon to look up to needs to realize that the only thing that they accomplished out there is they painted themselves into a corner. They only were allowed to survive as long as they did because they were getting outside supplies, well, food, water. They were leeching off of the public infrastructure of Seattle. They did everything that they did with the complicity and the acceptance of the local
Exactly.
Seattle government. And it was only when things spilled out of the Chaz and ended up on the mayor's doorstep that she decided, oh, it's coming to my house, I better do something about this. It would have continued to go on for as long as the mayor and the police department would have let it go on. And the fact that everything was stomped down by the local police department, stomped down, cleaned up, arrests were made, crowds dispersed within 30 minutes when the mayor decided to put her foot down, tells you that these people,
Nope.
they weren't ready for it.
You know, that to me, you know, that kind of sentiment of thinking that that's what we need to do. You know, I I personally don't think it has any
No.
place because obviously it didn't accomplish anything. You know, we were all making fun of them. People on the left were making fun of them. I mean,
Yep. And Freedom Tunes recently put out a cartoon called "What If Chaz Was Right Wing," and it was pretty funny. It was like a minute and a half long, and one guy walks up to another guy who's gardening. Is like, "Hey, how's the garden look?" And he goes, "Actually capable of growing food." And then and so they're sitting there working in the garden, and then the guy looks around and he goes, "You know what? This might actually work." And then like the military comes in and storms them and blows everything up, and MSNBC is talking shit about them, and Seattle gets nuked, and it's called it a mostly peaceful taking. Yeah, so it's there. They were ineffective at best. They couldn't even plant a hibiscus. They grew enough food to support a person or two. Yeah, one or two people, one time. I don't like being put in a corner and surrounded. Yep. That's exactly what happened. They didn't think it through. It was all spur of the moment, purely emotional tantrum. And because it was the quote unquote correct politics, they were allowed to do it.
yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people out there they only think about A, and then once they accomplish A, they're like, wait, there's B, C, D, E. Like they have no long-term plan. And if this movement's ever gonna be successful, you got to have a long-term plan. You can't, you know, just go off of whims and not expect things to happen because your first plan's always gonna go to shit.
Correct. All right, I think that's where we're going to call it a night tonight. Unless anybody got anything
I'm just
else
going to go drink some beer and
you
get ready. I got a tier 3 gun class tomorrow that's going to be a lot of fun. Vehicle stuff and one-arm stuff and some pretty cool stuff. So I'm looking forward to that.
Lucky.
Yep.
Lucky you. All right, so thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Hobbs with Justin from TBL and George. Thanks for tuning in tonight to Hobbservations. on roads to liberty, part of the Think Liberty Network. Go to think-liberty.com or your preferred podcasting app of choice. Look for Think Liberty, subscribe to us, subscribe to one of the other podcasts on there. We're not the only one there, but I like to think that we are the best. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful evening.